Brilliant. Good morning and welcome to today's meeting. I am Councillor Kieran Lay, Vice Chair of the Elections and Democratic Structures Committee. Before we commence, I would like to outline the domestic arrangements for today's meeting. We are not expecting a fire practice. If the alarm sounds, please leave the building through the fire exit at the rear of the chamber. Once you have left the chamber, proceed down the stairway and exit through the emergency exit on the ground floor. If anyone has mobility issues, please wait at the refuge area at the top of the stairs. The emergency evaluation lift is located there. Use the intercom located on the left-hand side of the lift doors to request assistance. The designated assembly point is in the public square in front of the cast beyond the fountain. Today's meeting will be audio and visually recorded. By being in the chamber, you are consenting to being recorded and for your image and voice to be retained and broadcast on the council website and on YouTube. If anyone wishes to record or film any part of today's meeting, please ensure that it does not disturb the proceedings and that filming is limited to those participating in the meeting. Referring to the agenda pack. So we have apologies. We received apologies from Councillor Rob Dennis and we've received apologies from Councillor Jason Charity. There's a few members obviously still not here. I haven't received apologies, so we'll catch up on that later. Are there any other apologies? No? Brilliant, cool. Next, to consider the extent to which press is to be excluded. There are no exempt items on today's agenda. Does anyone wish to declare an interest in an item of business on today's agenda? No? Cool. If yes, later on, if you forget, please complete the usual form. Following the meeting, Sarah can assist you. Minutes of the meeting held on 15th of July 2025. Can we agree on the minutes of the last meeting as a true and accurate record?
Yes, Chair.
Brilliant, all agreed. Thank you. Elections activity. Trina Barber will introduce this item.
Thanks, Chair.
Chair, can we just confirm and meet the quorum with 4?
Yes. Of course, so it's 4, so.
Okay, so this is just an update on the elections activities that's happened since our last meeting. It is very similar to the one that you've already had in the council meeting. Obviously, nothing about the election will have changed since the report to the council meeting. It's just for us to talk about anything in more detail. There is lots of figures and stats in there. For the Bentley by-election, which took place on the 21st of August. The electorate was 12,758. 2,750 were postal voters. There was a 52% turnout for the postal votes at 1,442. We had one that was rejected out of all those because their date of birth wasn't correct on their statement. On polling day, there was 992 voters. That's only 9.91% that voted in the polling stations. No electors were turned away for any reason to do with no ID. I think people have got used to it now. It's been going for a few years. And the total number of ballot papers verified for the polling stations and the postal votes was 2,434, which gave us just under a 20% turnout, which is generally around average for by-elections. We're usually at around 20-21%, so it was expected. There's a breakdown of the votes there, and there's also the link to the website that's got all the breakdown, including the rejected ballot papers on there as well. Just wanted to give you an update on voter ID. We have had a new form of ID that's now accepted. So it's the digital veteran card. You may be aware that we already do accept the bio-immigration ones, I think they're called, which we didn't use in May's elections. Nobody brought one in on the stations because we asked our staff to keep us updated with it being really new. I expect we'll probably get this one shown in stations more than others, so next time we have a by-election or the next elections, we will be making sure that staff are aware what to look for, how they check someone's digital ID, because it's all very new, and it's a live version, so it does have something on there to show that it's not a photocopy or that it's not a Photoshop one. It has something to state that it's actually live at that time. So that's something new, which is really good. We are also looking at I say we, the government are also looking at all the digital cards that are coming forward, and the driving licence is another one that they're looking at. So before we maybe have next elections, that might be another one that's brought forward and being used. But at the moment, I know that's just something new that they're looking at. So I'll keep you updated on any changes when they come in. If you want to see what they look like, there's a link there and you can have a look at what a digital veteran card looks like and what's accepted. And that's it for me for this one, Chair.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to comment or ask any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering how much the by-election cost in the end. Do we have the figures for that? And if so, was it a bit higher and lower than previous by-elections? And what are the reasons for that as well?
We do. It's just over 28,000, a third of which is postage. The rest is we've got 10 polling stations, 20 members of staff working on those stations, the printing, all the stationery for the stations, etc. It is higher because postage has increased dramatically this year. So May's elections as well, the increase on postage costs compared to the last local elections, absolutely huge, like hundreds of thousands of pounds. Every election now that we've had this year has been a lot more, mainly down to postage than anything else. The printing's not gone up too much. The staffing costs, we obviously have to pay the staff working on the stations at least minimum wage. We try to pay, and keep up with other authorities, so we do that and we speak to them, but it is mainly down to postage.
Does anyone else wish to add anything else? No? Brilliant. Do members note the report? Noted. Special. Next then, registration activity. Trina, back to you.
Thanks, Chair. And this one's just to give you an update of how we're doing with our annual canvass at the moment. There's a little bit of information in there if you're not sure about the annual canvass. Basically, every year, what we have to do between June and the 1st of December is check our registers are accurate, up to date, that everybody on our register still lives within those households where we've got them. We do a national data match. So we provide our data to government, they compare that with Department for Work and Pensions, and any property that flags up that there's been a change to what we have on the register, it will come up and say that they're not a matched property. The rest of them are matched properties, so let's just say, for example, there's 4 people on a property on our register, Department for Work and Pension have got the same names, everything's the same, that'll be a matched property, and we just need to send them a message to say, this is what we believe is correct for your property, is that right? If it's right, they don't have to do anything, and that's them dealt with. If we get a property that's had a change, so let's say one of those 4 people have moved out, it's flagging that our register's not accurate, or we've got an empty property. That's what we class as a Route 2 property. And we have to contact that property to get in touch and say, we believe there's a change. Can you tell us this is what we've got on our register? Can you tell us if this is right? If it's not, can you tell us what the changes are? And then the empty properties, we obviously try to contact to find out if anyone has now moved into them. There's empty properties from new builds. They don't actually go onto the register. So any of the new housing developments, until council tax goes live and people have moved in, they don't actually get put on our register. We keep them in a holding area. So they aren't included in any of the empty property stats unless someone's already paying the council tax on them and maybe not moved in them yet or something, they're doing them up, then that would be why they'd be on the register. So at the start of the canvass, we had to do our data match. There's a little flow chart there as well explaining the different routes and what they are. The government that we did on have a look what day we did that. 17th of June was when we updated our data to central government, and we did a 70.58%, so that was 104,169 matching properties out of 147,592. So we did get quite a good response rate from our data match. That meant that just over 43,000 properties appeared to have either changed or are empty, and they come under the Route 2. So we still have to write to the Route 1s to tell them this is what we believe is on the register, and then our focus then moves on to our Route 2 properties. And what we do with our Route 2s is we check all council tax records, all customer service records, any database within the council. We are actually allowed to capture and receive that data. They can't share our data under legal guidelines, but we can actually capture data if it can help get the register accurate. So that's what we do. And it's called data mining. So the elections team do some data mining, and we're able to then try and get as much accurate information for Route 2s as well. So we managed to get it down from just over 43,000 and matched to get another 11,168 properties. So it then made just over 32,000. So we did quite well with our first initial data match. We've then been sending emails and letters to Route 2s, asking them to go online, check their information. They can send a text message, they can phone. There's lots of different ways that they can actually let us know that there's been changes, and they don't have to physically ring us up and speak to us. It can be done 24 hours a day at any time by using the other methods. So at the time of this report, we'd managed to capture some more Route 2 responses, and we were down to... We'd got down from 32 to 25,000. So we had 6,890 responses. And then at the time of this report, we'd had another 3,203 responses. So we are continuing to contact those people, and we're now about to start doing the foot canvass and the telephone canvass. So we do different methods, 3 methods of contacting Route 2. So we've done a write-out, we've done a different form, we've done the emails, and now it's visits and telephone calls. The care homes are Route 3s. We have a good relationship with care homes. We do wait until closer to the 1st of December for the care homes, because they do have quite a big turnover of people, whether it's people that sometimes just come in for a bit of respite, or some help if they've come out of hospital. So we do have some that people are in and out and not there for a long time, so they don't actually register. So those will be updated all this month. And then what happens on the 1st of December is we publish our new registers. So the electoral registers that you will have had at election time, it's got elector numbers on. On the 1st of December every year, everyone receives a brand new elector number. Some may be the same if there's not been any changes to a lot of the properties. But those ones that you might see that have got an elector number and then they've got a / and a 1 or a 2 or a 3, they'll all be removed and they'll all get their own individual numbers, and then we'll start again for next year, and we'll do this all over again and publish again on the 1st of December every year to try and get it as accurate as possible. So that's the canvas, a little bit about what we do. The other thing that we're currently on with is the postal vote reapplication. A briefing note is about to go out to members all this week to give you an update on the postal vote application, just to let you know what's happening, because some people may get in touch with you from your areas just to say, what is this? Is it real? What do I need to do? So I will be sending some information out just in case you do get any queries. But basically, the Elections Act has changed postal votes and how long they last for. They used to be 5 years. It's now 3 years where people need to refresh their signature and make sure that they've got a fresh signature on their statements that we save, so that their postal votes are coming in and they still look like the signatures and that they're still matching up properly. So it's now every 3 years. There hasn't been an update. We used to do one every January every year for any that have expired for 5 years. We haven't had to do any for 2 years because of the Elections Act. So we've now got a real big amount of postal votes that need refreshing, as well as all those that are now 3-year-old instead of the 5. So we've got just over 51,000 postal votes that need to be refreshed before the end of January. So what have we been doing? We wanted to wait till after the elections, obviously, because we didn't want anyone to lose a postal vote for May's elections. So since then, we've been sending emails, the canvas forms, we've been putting a little message on there saying that your postal vote needs renewing, if it needs renewing. We've been emailing, putting information in email, and we're now about to send a real big personalised email individually to people and letters sent out. We've not actually done just the individual letters on postal votes, so that's the big one now that will go out with an application. We're trying to push as many as we can online because it's obviously cheaper, it's quicker to process. The paper forms take so much time. I have put a little bit of an explanation in there about numbers and how long it's taking. If they come in paper format, the system's changed now because of the digital applications. It does take a lot longer. We can no longer just scan them into the system. They have to be scanned on, go onto the URO portal. The URO portal then has to match with the register. Then the register has to confirm that they're actually on the register. Then we have to pull the signature out and put it into the system. So it's a long-winded process. Online's quicker and obviously cheaper without postal vote, postage outwards and back again. So just by other means and not actually contacting personally just about the postal votes, we've had just over 8,000 responses back. So we're about to send this new forms out. Hopefully we'll get a lot more responses in order to get people on for the 31st of January. I will say any postal votes that go on before the 31st of January that they've got to, and we've got to get in touch with everyone, we'll all have to renew again before we actually have elections. So because of the time frame, it'll hit the next 3 years and we'll have to do it all again, ready for the 2028 elections for the combined mayor. So we have fed that back. We have told them it is such a waste of money for well, not just for us because they're giving us some funding for this purpose, but it does seem a bit of a waste. It would have been better if they let councils manage it themselves, because we could have programmed kind of a slow write out and getting people to do it over the next 2 years. It would also mean that we could share that costing out. It would be easier for staff time, and then it would also cover the next 2 elections that we've got big ones coming up in 28 and 29. But unfortunately, we have to do it with the law. And the other thing that I've just put on there, there is the live digital electoral services performance link at the end of number 8 on the report. If anyone's interested in stats, it's live. You can go on. It's the government one, and you can see how people are going online, how they're doing them via post, what times they're doing them, when people are going online and doing their postal votes. And it's all the applications across the country. So it's quite detailed, and there's lots of graphs and things. I know some of you like that. So you can, if you have a look on that link, it's quite interesting to see how people are coming back and what they're doing. It also helps us look at how people are responding to things. So with our canvas and things like that, we can have a look and see, are people going online, what times, you know, and then we can do some of our social media things to filter in with those times and how people may be doing things online. So yeah, lots of stats to look at. That's it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Does anyone wish to comment or ask any additional questions?
At the last meeting, you stated that ward boundaries would be looked at in the future. Is there any more definite timescale with that yet?
Yes, so the Boundary Commission have told us that they're going to look at that next year. So they wanted us to start looking at it this summer, but we did explain that councillors are obviously, a lot of you are new. You don't know your wards very well or what your constituents want in your areas, and also if you feel that some wards are too big. So they understood that. It was felt that to give everyone the time to settle in, to wait a year. So what will happen is they'll get back in touch with us after Christmas. We expect around March time, and then they'll actually meet with yourselves. So the Boundary Commission will come in, explain what they want to do, what feedback they want from yourselves, and then how we actually do our setting out boundaries, wards, how many electors should be in each ward, what's recommended, and then we can do a consultation and get feedback from members of the public as well. So it does take quite a long time because we go backwards and forwards to set things, and yeah, the Boundary Commission will come in and explain it with you next year.
Thanks, Trina. No supplementaries on that, Mr. Chair.
Gemma.
Thanks, Chair. A couple of questions. On the canvas, compared to previous years, are Route 2 and Route 1 quite more successful than where we have been, or is it a bit in a dip in figures, just because we usually get figures and there's not the figures comparison? I know we probably do it after Route 3. So I'm jumping the gun a little bit on that one. And then on my second question with regards to the postal vote reapplication, do you know how much that will cost every 3 years, roughly? I know obviously inflation has a part to play in that, but how much do you reckon that will cost on average having to renew it?
So on the canvas, yeah, so after we've published on the 1st of December, at the next meeting we'll give a breakdown of the years of how successful it's been. It's pretty much the same every year though. We have the same properties that don't want to respond, or we've got the same number of empty properties, and we do our best. We contact them, we visit them, you know, we have our regulars that know us, and they just wait, a lot of them. They wait for someone to visit because that's what they've always done. So that person will visit and then they'll capture that information, which obviously isn't helpful, and it does cost more to do it that way. But, you know, we just have pretty much the same. The figures are pretty much the same continuously. We've tried, we take on what the authorities are doing, and we are doing everything that everyone else is doing to try and get those responses. It's just not great. People don't want to be contacted either, you know, on a doorstep as well. If you knock on a door and it's cold, it's dark, it's late, people don't want to be bothered. So it is really difficult. Postal vote reapplication, there is some stuff coming out in the email to you. So it's kind of got a breakdown of if everybody replies, this is what we expect, and obviously that's a knock-on effect then. And the figures will slightly change because people will move and not necessarily stay within Doncaster. Some people will move out, some people will come in. So the reapplication in 3 years' time won't be the same, but it'll still be a pretty high, significant number. I do think that we might lose a few people from this right out who will just decide there's no election, I don't need to do it, I'll not bother, and I'll just wait while the next elections are, which is fine because then their postal vote will then be valid for the next couple of elections. So we don't want to push too hard on people. We are doing what we need to do and what we've got funding for. I don't feel that we should be wasting more money to write out to people to try and get a response when there's no elections, and we're going to have to get them to do it again before the next ones. It does seem like that would be a waste of money. But we do tell them that the postal vote's now cancelled, send them another application. They can go online and tell them that they can have another one at any time. So that option's always there. They've not lost it forever.
Any other additional questions? No? Smash in. Do members note the report? Noted. Brilliant. Well, that concludes the business at today's meeting. I want to thank you all for your attendance, and I declare the meeting closed.